Another edition of Cuse Connections. Our Olympic edition rolls along. Brian Higgins here in the Cuse, and we've been going over to Japan a lot. He's not there yet, but Justyn Knight with us now. Justyn, first off, congrats on being an Olympian, and tell us, where are you? What is the whole schedule here as you get ready to go to Japan and Tokyo here to race in a couple weeks?
Yeah, thank you for having me. Right now I'm here in Charlottesville, Virginia, where I train. We're just doing our last final preparations to make sure that we're in shape to have a great race out in Tokyo. And yeah, leading up, we're going to be leaving to Japan next week, heading to a training camp in Gifu, Japan. And then 5 days before my race, I'll actually be able to head over to Tokyo.
Yeah, it's crazy. And we're talking here well before people will be watching this. They'll be getting to watch this right before you run in Tokyo. But this is interesting. I mean, in a normal Olympic year, right, Justyn, you'd get to be there and maybe do the opening ceremonies and do the whole thing. This has got to be a very different proposition for the people you know that have been through this before.
Yeah, a lot of my friends that have gone to the Olympics before have have never shied away from telling me, like, you know, it's going to be completely different and not the same. But at the end of the day, I think as athletes, we're all just super grateful. This time last year, the Olympics was taken away from us, and thankfully it was postponed and not canceled. So I think like a lot of the athletes are kind of keeping an open mind and just being thankful that we have an opportunity to compete at the highest level rather than missing out on this opportunity.
Take me through the getting ready here for the Olympics, because I know I saw you on Twitter. I'm watching the U.S. Olympic trials, and clearly you were glued to that. Canada's process is not the same. You didn't have to go into the grinder like that. You hadn't been officially named to the team, but you knew you were in a good position. How different is it what you were watching there on TV with the U.S. process for you, knowing you would put in the hard work and we're going to get your rewards here coming up?
Oh man, it was completely different. Part of me, like, I had mixed feelings about it. One, I was in a great position where I knew I was going to be on the team, so I was thankful I didn't have to go through all the nerves and doing trials and you know, having to place top 3 to make sure you confirm your spot on the team. But the other fact was just like watching the Americans compete in front of a pretty good home crowd and like getting to do that lap once you make the team with your flag on your back and stuff like that. That was really heartwarming to see. So I did miss out on like that aspect of it, but I think just not having to compete and then like taking those extra weeks to get better is probably going to benefit me a little bit more.
Well, Justyn, you can answer this, but in my mind, I don't know if you've had that feeling this year, have you? I mean, you're putting out personal bests. You were involved in by far the fastest 5,000 meters in the world this year in Rome last month. What was that? A Diamond League event? Take me back to that event. I mean, you put down a personal best by a sizable margin. I mean, it was almost 20 seconds faster than you've ever gone. What was that race like? You had the best in the world, and you guys were flying.
Yeah, it was a great atmosphere. You know, I love traveling to Italy. It was actually it's the home of where my PB before that race was. I got my PB in Rome, I think 2 years ago, at that Diamond League as well. And just to go back and have a great showing was phenomenal. I think like a lot of people, they asked me like, oh, are you surprised that you improved by that much? And for the people on the outside looking in, like, it does seem kind of strange, but I haven't raced a 5K in 2 years. So I've been working extremely hard, you know, working on my speed, working on my strength. So for me, I just needed to prove to people that I am capable of going that fast. And I knew I was capable of running that fast, but it was just a great atmosphere. I think just to get back overseas and be in a competitive race like that is going to mimic what the 5K final should look like in Tokyo was just a great experience. And I think it prepped me well for what's next to come.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. I mean, that race was maybe not every medal favorite, but I mean, there was a lot of guys you were running with that are expecting to be at the top of the race. How much is it, I guess, you now know that your body can do what it needs to do to be where you want to be here coming up?
Yeah, it gives me a huge amount of confidence. And, you know, you brought to the fact that, like, I haven't had a bad year, which is very true. But at the same time, I'm back in the mindset of just setting extremely high goals for myself. So even though I ran the second fastest time in North America and I got 5th in that race,
Yeah.
I ran like the 5th fastest time in the world this year. My mindset still wants me to, how can we try to be number 1? How can we close that gap? So even though we ran a good race, like I'm still out here going to practice, figuring out ways how to be better. And I think heading into the Olympics, one, I have the confidence because I was able to keep up with those guys, but I also have that hunger to kind of close the gap and try to do even better.
Well, you said it, the second fastest time in North America. The fastest was also in that race. It was your
Yeah.
Canadian teammate, Muhammad Ahmed, who he came in, third in the race. So
Yeah.
what's the relationship like with you guys where you're kind of rising up here through the sport here? He's, a few years older than you, but you're kind of making your move here at the same time.
Yeah, Mo's a great guy. Honestly, I've known him for quite a while. My freshman year at Syracuse, actually, I remember sending him a message on Facebook, just asking for guidance and like how to maneuver around the NCAA. And he was just a great role model for me. Anytime I've ever reached out to him, he gets back to me like that. And through the years, we ran on our first team together back in 2017. I think the summer of my junior year, and getting to know him more than just like the athlete has just been incredible. He's a great human being. Seeing him do well makes me really happy because I know he's a great person and I'm really happy for him. And I think where we are at today, where he's running extremely fast times, which is pushing me to run extremely fast times, it's just truly, it's inspiring. And I can only imagine for like the younger generation, especially for Canadians, that it inspires them to have two Canadians be, I guess you can say, like, be a contender on a world stage. So I think like, we're really proud of the work that we're doing. We know that it's not done and we want to do better, but we're just really happy to be on this journey together and do something special for Canada.
Let's talk a little Cuse side of this here. We know that Chris Fox is still your coach and obviously coached you at Cuse. How much can he guide you through the Olympics? Is he allowed to go, or does he kind of have to? Are you working with the Canadian people now and deal with Coach Fox from afar during this process?
Yeah, so Coach Fox, it's actually great. Team Canada was actually able to list him as a coach. So he'll be traveling with me to Tokyo. He'll help me through my workouts, just do the stuff that he regularly does as a coach. But it's still, I don't know what's going to happen at the actual games. We're not sure if he's actually allowed to be inside the stadium or not. So we're waiting to hear on that. But he'll be in Tokyo with me, so it'll be a good trip.
Okay, that's awesome. So great that he gets to go. And that's got to be weird, Justyn. I mean, normally you go into events like this and all of the details of everything you're doing, you probably would know it a year in advance. And now we're sitting here less than a couple of weeks from when you're going to be running. And it's stuff like that. You don't know if your coach is going to be in the building. That's got to be kind of weird preparing for something where you can't necessarily lay it all out as you might like to.
Yeah, I mean, it's very nerve-wracking. And at the end of the day, sometimes you get a little bit stressed about it, but you have to understand that everybody's going through the same thing, every athlete, every coach. So in that perspective, like, I just try to make sure that at the end of the day, I am prepared to run extremely fast. I was really thankful this year when I went to Florence, Italy for the Diamond League. Coach Fox and my agent actually weren't able to travel with me. So I was pretty much there on my own. So I think that was kind of like maybe a blessing in disguise, just in case in Tokyo I will be alone like before the race. So like maybe it won't be that much of a shock to the system, but at the end of the day, we just got to go out there and do our best. And it's not normal, but at the end of the day, as I said, like, we're just thankful to have this opportunity.
Yeah, when the gun goes off, it's still a race, right? So you'll be out there
Yeah.
for that. And Justyn, you have been as proud of your alma mater as any Syracuse athlete that I could think of. You're always representing. You throw up your hands as an O when you cross the finish line. How important is it for you to be a Syracuse Olympian? And there's 7 of them this year right now, 3 Canadians with Kayla Alexander in basketball and Jenna Kyra at softball. How cool is that to have that group, even though you won't be able to be together over there this time, but to have that group over there?
I mean, it's a huge honor to represent Syracuse in general. Actually, behind me, I have my Syracuse. I can't show you, but I have my Syracuse jersey from winning NCAA's cross country. It's framed and everything. And, my time at Syracuse has just been wonderful. I've had an extremely great time there. I missed my family. Like, when I say like my family, I consider everybody in the athletic department, the academic department, my family. Like, you guys treated me with the utmost respect and you guys always cared for me. So I feel like just anytime I get to represent you guys on the world stage in a great light, that it's my pleasure. And I take that really seriously to have other athletes actually at the Olympic Games too. And a good amount of them too, like 7. I don't know how many schools can have 7 athletes going to the Olympics. It's just amazing. And I think it truly speaks to Syracuse University. When you walk inside Manley Fieldhouse, it says home of champions. And I feel like the amount of athletes that we're sending to the Olympics, and high class, high quality athletes as well, just goes to prove that, we are a top-notch school in terms of like growing athletic success. Sorry.
Well, Justyn, when you set aside Stanford, who has like 9 million Olympians, like seven's pretty good. Like 7's a lot in the non Stanford division. All right, let's wrap up on this, Justyn. You got the heat coming up on August 3rd. The final is Friday, August 6th. Track is week 2 at the Olympics. They do kind of swimming first, and then they put track in the spotlight to wrap up the games. So we're going to be watching your race. Give us something. What should we watch for when you're out there? Who do we need to look at? What should we look for you tactically that you're running a good race? Give us a little tip here of what we should be looking for.
Man, that's a tough one because I like to be prepared for anything. I think definitely I'm gonna try my best to stay in the mix, like at the front. And depending on how fast or slow the race is, I'm gonna try not to be boxed in on the rail, and I'm going to make it happen. At Syracuse, I was known for having a pretty good kick. So, maybe keep that in mind. And I'm going to make sure I do my best for you guys out there.
All right, Justyn, I can't wait to see you on our TV screen all the way from Tokyo here in a few weeks. And you said you're so proud of your alma mater. We are so proud of you and your trip upcoming to Tokyo. Best of luck, and can't wait to see your race coming up.
Thanks, Brian.